Good afternoon, dear friends. Adam Clery from FourFourTwo here, and it is the one you've all been waiting for. Xabi Alonso and Liverpool. I'll keep the intro nice and short. Jurgen Klopp is going to leave this summer, and loads of people think that Xabi Alonso, who currently has the Bundesliga bent face down over a table, should be the man to replace him. So is he? Well, and I know I've done this gag before, but long answer yes with an if, short answer no with a but. Okay, so maybe you've not watched a lot of Das Bundesliga this season, that's understandable. You're a busy guy, you've got other things to do, so let me tell you how Leverkusen play. Theoretically, it's a 3-4-2-1, but it's also so much more fun than that. The easiest way to describe it, okay, is it's a system based around 3 centre-backs who really do actually want you to press them, then 2 wing-backs who operate as a second centre-forward and a number 10, then 2 actual number 10s who just do whatever the they want. So we'll start at the back, right? Alonso tries to pick the same 11 wherever possible. He really values that consistency and that sort of team blend it gives him. So we've normally got Tasoba, Tar, and Kossa now, which I would say 75% sure I've pronounced correctly. And all 3 of them fit a very similar profile. They're all very strong on the ball. They do not get bullied. They're excellent at defending set pieces, but they're also really, really comfortable in possession. They're very difficult to press. They make good angles. They receive the ball in tight spaces. They're pretty much the perfect modern centre-back. And then ahead of them, we have Ezequiel Palacios and Granit Xhaka. Yes, that Granit Xhaka. And between the 5 of them in the build-up phase, they just try and find angles. When they get pressed, you get these 2 scuttling around horizontally like little crabs who want to receive the ball while they find the angles between the goalkeeper, the defenders, and these 2 midfielders. And if you are stupid enough to commit lots of players forward, this is how they get through you. And they are so effective at doing this that it sort of lures the opposition into committing more and more players forward to try and stop them. Like if you only press them with 1 attacker, then they're very good at just making that triangle around them, moving the ball side to side until some space frees up down the flanks. If you press them with 2 and then even sort of mark the wing-backs and the central midfielders with your next line of players, then what they'll do is that really clever like Brighton-style bounce pass where one of the centre-backs will inevitably get free. It'll come into the central midfielder who, even with a player in his back, can then straight away knock a ball into the free centre-back, and they're really happy to just push up the pitch themselves. And then all of a sudden, what's this guy doing other than filling his kecks? And then what are you going to do? Go man-to-man, so commit 7 players to the press to try and stop these ones from getting on the ball? Okay, great, say Leverkusen. You've effectively left us 3-on-3 in your own half. Now that's how they build up, but the really, really, really fun part of this side is in these 2 wing-backs. Alex Grimaldo and Jeremy Frimpong might be the 2 most fun players in all of European football right now because, yes, okay, they're defenders and they can drop back and form a back 4 for Leverkusen if they really need to, if they're trying to be solid and they're trying to be compact. But as we know, as we've discussed on this channel 100 times, defending is for nerds. So, and yes, it is heat map time. What have they really been doing this season? Well, this is Jeremy Frimpong's heat map of this season, and I'm just going to give that a little second to really sit with you. And this is Alex Grimaldo's. 2 defenders there who could not be doing less defending if they were deathly allergic to their own 18-yard box. What's made this work really well for Leverkusen, though, is that it's easy to look at that and just go, oh, they've got really attacking wing-backs, but they both do very, very different jobs on either side of the pitch. If we just focus on Frimpong's heat map first of all, you can see that he ends up in and around the box quite a lot. And as a result, if we go and look at the numbers, no defender in all of European football has touched the ball in the opponent's box more times this season. And I love it when you get a stat where someone is at the very top of it, because it's not just that he's doing this a lot, it's that no one else in the game is doing it like he is. And as a result, at the time of me recording this, which is ahead of them playing Bayern, he's got like 5 goals in the league this season, 6 assists, no defenders had more shots on goal, none of them have got a higher XG. The numbers he's posting in this system, extraordinary. And you can understand that as well, because if he's getting so close to the other centre forward, occupying those same central goal scoring zones, he's effectively the responsibility of the opposition centre backs. And how on earth are they meant to mark a player whose starting position is at wing back? As for Grimaldo, though, he is slightly different. If we look at his heat map, yeah, it's just as attacking, but you'll see he doesn't get into the box and do the same kind of thing Frimpong does. He kind of operates in this sort of half space right here. We'll talk about how he's able to operate in this sort of space when you've literally got Florian Wirtz right there in just a second, but where Frimpong's numbers sort of make him look like this live wire penalty box striker, Grimaldo's posting the same kind of numbers as like an elite chance creator. In terms of defenders in this league, nobody has more assists than he does, like 10 already or something. Nobody puts the ball into the penalty area more than he does, and he's right at the very top of the statistics for things like key passes and all the other chance creation metrics you would want to see a number 10 thriving in. But yes, to rewind slightly, why would you want your left wing back in this position if you've got Florian Wirtz, who's brilliant in that position? And I don't know if you recall me saying this, but those two number 10s basically do whatever they like. And this, you see, is Florian Wirtz's heat map from across the Bundesliga this season. And you will note, yes, he is primarily playing on that left-hand side in the number 10 role, but also he's playing wherever he wants. It is similar for Hoffman on this side. He is sort of expected to go where he's needed, but because Frimpong will always be making that outside run, never looking to get into this space and looking for service as he gets into the box, it's kind of more important that he is more static, so when the ball does come to him, they know exactly where it can go. But because Grimaldo is also excellent in this position, it means Wirtz is free to just read the game and decide himself where he's needed. So he will come across to Hoffman to create overloads and double up. He will get up next to the centre forward to be on the end of chances. He will go out wide to allow sort of Grimaldo to, and they said come inside him there, to underlap him, that's the word. And also he'll drop back into the midfield in case they need an extra body there. Now you could make this statement about more or less any of them, but I personally think Wirtz is the most important player in this system, because Leverkusen have a very set style, a set system. They know what they're going to do. You know where a lot of their players are going to try and be. The freedom afforded to him means that they can effectively problem solve on the fly. There was a really good example of this the other day in the DFB Pokal, which I'm never sure if I say right, cup quarter-final against Stuttgart. Leverkusen were behind, they were losing. Stuttgart weren't exactly in control of the game, but it certainly did feel like they had a lot of answers to this side, so Wirtz went and changed the questions. You can see here Leverkusen are trying to build out in that back five we discussed, and Stuttgart are being really disciplined. All the players who they want to get the ball into, they've got well marked. They're pushing out at the right times, but they're not getting lured in to press the centre-backs and leave any space. So no matter where the wing-backs or the 10s go sort of horizontally, they're being tracked by their marcus. What Wirtz decides to do is test how far he's willing to go on the other axis instead. And he doesn't just drop a little bit deeper, he goes all the way into the double pivot with Xhaka and Palacios and allows them to form these sort of two triangles. I know that's a shape where it's one on, it's not a rhombus, is it? It's got a weird name. What's that called? It says it's called a Lakota symbol, and there's something to do with like Native Americans, Wiccans, and spirituality. It's a rabbit hole I'm not going down. Anyway, Wirtz forms the accursed symbol, and you can even see his marker here pointing at him, telling the rest of his team, I can't really go there with him. You guys are going to have to sort that out. But of course, before they can think about how they will sort that out, he gets on the ball, he gets turned, and all of a sudden, the space that had been denied every other player in that area, he's just got. And this is where you just need that little extra bit of quality, because they've made the substitution. They've taken Hoffman off for Adley, who's more of a direct runner rather than a static presence in that position. He gets his head up, he sees him, and he plays the most perfect weighted pass in behind that really high Stuttgart line. Now, of course, this is all really good in theory, and it's a really clever system that undoubtedly should have seen Leverkusen having a good year, but there's a really subtle moment in this, which I think tells you why they're not just having a good year, but possibly just an unbelievable one. The centre forward here, who I think at this point is Schick, knows what Wirtz is going to do. He knows this pass isn't going to be for him. There is not a lot of space for this ball to go through, and it's very conceivable this defender could leave his man to cut that out. So Schick holds him there, physically stops him closing off that passing lane. This is not somebody who's played every minute in this side. He's only started 4 games for them in the league this season, and yet he's so well drilled by Alonso, he sort of instinctively knows what's coming here and what his role in that should be. And I really do think that's quite important, because this is still Xabi Alonso's first proper job in management. This is still technically his first full season as a senior coach at a club. So it'd be very easy to look at what's going on and say, it's just circumstances. Some of the players are having great seasons. Things have just clicked irrespective of what he's doing. But I think when you look at the overall coaching, how well drilled they are, how everybody seems to know these jobs, it says a lot about what he's done with them. Now, I am aware the point of this video is to assess his suitability for Liverpool, and you might have heard all of that and thought, doesn't really sound very Liverpool to me. Well, what about this? Yes, Leverkusen are disciplined and they do build out from the back. And if we look at this lovely graph from Opta that I like to pretend I understand, they have a more slow and intricate play style than even Bayern Munich. But they do also lead the entire Bundesliga, that's starting to feel problematic, in the number of shots they get from high turnovers. They are very patient, yes, but they also got that dog in them. One of the advantages they have of being able to build the ball through the lines the way they do is that by the time they do normally fashion a chance, the entire team has moved quite high up the pitch. So when it does break down or they lose the ball or it just gets turned over, they're in a really good position to then effectively crash the opposition to try and win it back as quickly as possible. Now if that sounds like Jurgen Klopp's gegenpressing style to you, that's because, well, it is. Essentially, they are trying to play the entire game of football as close to the opposition's goal as they can, be that attacking or defending. And as a result, in terms of the number of touches teams have in either their own box or the defensive third, Leverkusen are bottom. But in terms of the number of touches they have in the attacking third, Leverkusen are top. In terms of the number of tackles teams make in their own defensive third, Leverkusen are bottom. But in terms of the number of tackles made in the attacking third, Leverkusen are top. For them, the pitch pretty much just starts here. Gonna really blow your mind here because you're smart and intelligent. You're probably thinking, probably requires a really high line that, Adam. You're really committing a lot of players forward. Bet they're shipping a lot of goals on the counter-attack this season. None. Zero. Only team in the entire Bundesliga to not concede a single goal on the counter-attack because, yes, while they do push really high up, they've got 5 really good, just sort of strong, steely defenders in this part of the pitch, and they just shut that down. Alright, so that is Leverkusen 101 for you, but would this work at Liverpool? Well, let's just do a quick stock take of the 11 and the system and just see if it's a decent fit. I would say Alisson, absolutely perfect for this role. You want a goalkeeper who can play out from the back and can sweep up in behind. Perfect. Then at centre-back, you want 3 players, all with a similar profile. Quick, strong, excellent on the ball, can pick a pass here and there, and don't mind carrying it forward themselves. Konate, Van Dijk, absolutely perfect. Kwanzaa could maybe do that on the left, maybe a little bit unproven. You'd want to go buy a third one there, I think. Or Joe Gomez could play there. I forgot about Joe Gomez, sorry. And then in the double pivot, again, you want a bit of physicality. You can't be getting bullied during the press, but your control has to be excellent because you're going to be receiving that ball under pressure a lot. You need to be able to face your own goal. You need to be able to get turned in tight spaces and play it forward. And Endo, Gravenberch, McAllister in particular, Liverpool pretty well stocked in that department. Now, wing-back is tricky because you do want 2 players who function really well as conventional fullbacks and can do defending all the way down that side, but also possess an incredible engine to get all the way up the pitch when needed. Now, if we just sort of flip over the way they're doing this, I actually think Andy Robertson could do that Frimpong job really, really well. He could bomb up all the way that side. He loves to get in the box. He would chase things down. He's a goal threat if needed to be. He probably works there. But in the chance creation role, though, Alexander-Arnold's not a particularly good fit. Like, don't get me wrong, purely in that 10 position, he'd be fantastic. Obviously, the passes he could pick out would be second to none, but half the job is being able to sprint back and get into position and not get caught out, and that might be something he really struggled at. You would see teams desperately targeting the space in behind him. So we'll just hang a little question mark here for the time being. The 2 number 10s. Well, Liverpool don't play with any number 10s. However, they do have an absolute embarrassment of riches in their attacking number 8 roles. And Liverpool are so on the front foot and they expect so much work in and around the box from these players, they convert very easily. I would say Dominic Szoboszlai was possibly even born to play one of those roles. Given you're going to want one who can be a little bit more static and pick out a teammate and one who can just do absolutely everything everywhere, I don't think Liverpool would have any problems at all picking those players out of their current squad. Like we've already said, Szoboszlai, but Jones, Elliott, I could see Jota even doing that to an extent. They'd be fine there. And then up front, you just want a classic centre-forward who likes to stay between the goalpost, has good link-up play, and can finish. And in every regard but the finishing, and he will get there, that's Darwin Núñez. So that's actually, across the pitch, a really good fit. But also, No, it isn't. Neither of these number 10s is really tasked with being much of a box presence at all. In fact, Wirtz and Hoffman both work exceptionally because they know not to go in that area, which would be a complete waste of Mo Salah. And likewise, Trent Alexander-Arnold is somebody Liverpool should be looking to build the feature of their side around. And he's not a particularly good fit in the double pivot role because he's a little bit sort of lightweight. You could see him getting targeted. He would leave too much space behind playing as one of the wing backs. And even if you just stuck him as one of the 10s, again, he's maybe not quite got the mobility horizontally across the pitch. Don't get me wrong, you could do a lot worse than putting him in one of these positions, but you could also have a much better fit. And part of the reason this Leverkusen side have done so well is because Alonso was very big on identifying the right profile of player for the positions. Trent isn't that. So it's a really, really great fit for a lot of this Liverpool side, but also it's not a particularly good one for two of their most important players, both on the field and off it. So that's less than ideal. But then again, at the same time, if we look at the sort of philosophies Alonso appears to have, he wants a high pressing side who works really hard off the ball. Big tick for that current Liverpool squad, but he also wants him to be really, really good in possession, which is what Klopp has been building towards over the last 2 years. He's less about the gegenpress, more about controlled possession, and this Leverkusen side are a really good balance of the two. So, is Xabi Alonso a good fit for Liverpool? Well, yes, he really, really, really is in the long term. However, in the short term, he would face a fairly major challenge for making this system work for a number of its biggest players. Like we mentioned Alexander-Arnold and we mentioned Salah, but also I don't know where Diaz goes in this. I said Jota could potentially be one of those 10s, but it's not a good use of him. And the problem with that is that the competition for Champions League places and for trophies is as intense as it has ever been, and no top side can really afford to have a sluggish start to a new managerial reign because they've got the speed bump of short-term problems. And if you don't believe that, look at Manchester United. But if you're looking for a personal opinion on this, I would say, yeah, God, absolutely. He looks amazing. Go and get him in tomorrow if you can. Like, it's way too soon to know whether or not Xabi Alonso is cut out to manage at the really, really top end of European football consistently, but when do you ever know for definite that's going to work? And as for some members of the Liverpool squad not being a natural fit for this system he's playing, he's only been playing it for like 8 or 9 months. Systems always adapt. The challenge is not how could Xabi Alonso make the Liverpool side play this brand of football. The challenge is how could he bring in this brand of football with that Liverpool side. Like, think about it, that 4-3-3 that Jurgen Klopp won the European Cup and the Premier League with. He didn't use that at Dortmund. He had the gegenpress, but he had it in a 4-2-3-1 because that worked better for that group of players. Like, the guy got there and was like, nah, I'm not going to bother with a double pivot. I've got Fabinho. I don't need it. I'll just stick another man up front. And he did, and they went and won absolutely everything. So Xabi Alonso's Liverpool might not look anything like Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen, but that's why you get those top jobs. The ability to go from one to the other and still be a baller. Anyway, I am almost certain that is the longest video we've ever done, and I am desperate for a wee, so I'm going to sign off right there. If you're still with us at this point in the video, thank you so much, and if you haven't yet already subscribed, please do consider it. If you're a Liverpool fan, we've got something absolutely massive coming up that you won't want to miss, so please do hit that little button. It helps us out a whole bunch, and I'm very, very grateful when you do. In the meantime, I am on all the socials, because of course I am, at Adam Clery, C-L-E-R-Y, and the FourFourTwo handles there in the corner of the video. You should check those out as well. And yes, thank you so much for watching. I did so much research for this, so if you'd like to share it around with your friends, that would mean a whole heap and bunch to me. Plus, I'm now obsessed with Leverkusen, so that's almost certainly the kiss of death on them winning the league. Very sorry. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.